If gain of function research is true, some people are deemed to be expendable. This is a big statement, and I have got an older gentleman here because this is really what I'm getting at with regards to the news that has recently come out. And if you haven't heard this yet, this is a very, very important story. And so, before I start that, I'd just like to quickly share with you some quick concepts because now is a time that everyone needs to have a better understanding of COVID 19. And as such, we have got our COVID 19 Foundation 360 course, and that we've been developing this with the aim to try and help people to understand a little bit more about COVID 19. And so, this foundation course was designed for people who don't have a basic understanding of biology, and it was aimed to give you a unique offering, boosting your knowledge, empowering yourself, and saving time and money with a positive e-learning experience. So please, if you are interested, just click on the link below to look at our COVID-19 e-learning course. Thank you very much. But getting back to the main point here, if gain of function research is true, then it does mean that this is quite significant with regards to what has happened in the world. This was a big story. And I'll quickly show you what's been in the news in the past few days. So, when we look at this here, this is the news story that has been around. NIH admits to funding gain of funding research on bat coronaviruses in China's Wuhan lab. This was 4 days ago on Google News. As well, NIH, National Institute of Health in the United States, demands unpublished data on coronavirus experiment, but says research is not linked to the pandemic. And of course, we have here Senator Rand Paul, who had been making quite a lot of focus on Dr. Fauci with regards to the fact that they're saying this is an unexpected result, but this is exactly what he had been saying for the past few months. It was initially considered just to be a conspiracy theory, but believe it or not, it is now becoming more and more significant. So, why would I say that some people are deemed expendable? I was shocked when I saw this because, truthfully, as with everyone else, we all thought this was just a conspiracy. But if it was gain of function, what exactly does that mean? And so, what I'll show you here is a quick image of a simple coronavirus. And you can see on the surface of the coronavirus, and I'll use my pointer here. This is what it looks like. Just imagine it like a football with these spike proteins in blue on top. And this is from our foundation course. We'll go into a little bit more detail on it. And then you have this envelope with the RNA inside it and these spike proteins on top. So these spike proteins are primarily what have been adjusted, and this is what they're saying that the gain of function is around. So the principle is quite simple. It was part of our normal research in that what we would do is that we would take a virus that was lethal, say this happened with the influenza virus, and then we would try and see if we could make it more infectious to see what impact this could have if we had another pandemic. Makes perfect sense. The problem is that when they developed these viruses, they recognized the risks that were associated with it. Because if these viruses got out, it could cause a pandemic on its own. And so this was a very, very important point. And this was something that really had to be dealt with in some way. So gain of function research had a moratorium on it. So that means that they said, listen, we've got to stop this because it is too high risky. Thank you very much, Linda, for joining us from Norway. And therefore, it means that we shouldn't have this kind of research being done. Why would it be funded by the USA in China? What's going on here? Now, this is the bit that I think was the challenge, and I'll share with you what I said with regards to this post that I did. And this post at the moment on LinkedIn has had over 50,000 views in the past few days or past week about gain of function research. And what I said here is that the implications are staggering. Because when you understand the pathophysiology around COVID 19 and the connection between the viral spike protein and levels of serum ACE-2, this is pointing to the fact that serum ACE-2 is primarily elevated in older people and those with specific comorbidities. In fact, the mortality figures from COVID-19 shows that 97.4% of deaths are associated with at least one comorbidity. I'll emphasize that point here. You can see in this paper, this is from the CDC, 540,000 patients who were hospitalized, of which over 27,000 died. Only 704 had no known comorbidities. And that's an important point. They may have had comorbidities that we had probably overlooked. But the point is that 97.4%, and I'm just running through this paper here, I'm not showing you any detail, 97.4% had a comorbidity. So if we are doing gain of function, why would we be developing a virus that would target people who have health conditions and who are older? That is the bit that shocked me, because I know a little bit more with regards to what has happened with MERS. In this image here, we have an example of MERS, the MERS virus. And this virus here, as I can show you on this, SARS-CoV, this was in 2003, and SARS-CoV-2 in 2019, use ACE2 as the entry receptor, these little red dots. MERS used a completely different entry receptor, which is DPP4. And the serum levels of this are elevated in the context of people who are diabetic. So we had a situation where another coronavirus in 2012, which is the Middle East respiratory syndrome, had a completely different spike protein. That's worrying to me, because if this virus was gain of function, it raises the question whether or not that virus in 2012 could also have been gain of function as well. And that's a big concern. And guess what? Here we have this story now coming out, and this is coming out again in the past few days, that in effect, we have had EcoHealth Alliance violating the terms of the NIH grant with experiments on the MERS virus in China. So, does this mean that we were also doing gain of function with regards to MERS? So, we're doing gain of function research on MERS and SARS. What does that mean, though? Why would that be so relevant in the context of what is happening? In both of these situations, we would be working on viruses that seem to target people with health conditions. In the context of MERS, serum DPP4, which would be the trigger for severe responses in the MERS infection, is highly connected with diabetics. In this circumstance with SARS-CoV-2, it's also closely connected with diabetics, older people, heart disease, hypertension. Why would we be working on a virus like this? And this is where it raised the question that I had said humanity needs to pause and reflect carefully on where we are going. We really need to think about this, because this kind of work is, in fact, a danger to the whole world. When we look at some of the comments that had come in, and what we can see is that there are lots of people who commented on this. And I'll just see here, Matthew, the sheer recklessness and insanity involved here is staggering. Alternatively, this is a brazen attempt to create a bioweapon. I mean, I don't know if this is a bioweapon to target only one sector of society, but I mean, it is possible. You know, look at this statement. Will all gain of function researchers please come forward? Let's have a crowd support fund for those who do, to tell us what exactly is going on. Why would we be developing this kind of technology that would affect so many people in this way? And these are some of the clips that was saying. Here is somebody, Darren, saying, "Where are we going? It seems like we are already there." These are very, very important points and really need to be assessed and focused on. We can't let these points go. These are very, very important issues that we have to face as a society. We have to ask ourselves, really, what is going on? Why were we developing this kind of technology? Who would it benefit? And what aim, what purpose did it serve? Because there is no parallel to developing the spike proteins that are on SARS-CoV-2. Normally, we do this to try and understand what would happen in a pandemic, but some of the characteristics of the spike protein that are here are almost too complex to have occurred without the involvement of, I mean, it just wouldn't have happened under normal circumstances. So it raises some very, very important questions, and questions that we all need to answer and we all need to seek answers for. So the point that I was making here, if gain of function research is true, it could mean that the thoughts were that some people are deemed expendable. Is that the kind of society that we want? Is that the kind of thinking that we would want for the future? I hope this was of some value. Just remember, consider doing your foundation 360. This is a time for everybody to be educated on exactly what this virus is about and the impact that it can have on all of us. Thank you very much, and I look forward to sharing some more information with you all again soon.